Fulham is prepared to make a third bid for Scott McTOMINAY as the race for him is back on. Indeed, one man's meat is another man's poison. My name is Webb. Welcome to the United of Sport. Here is an update on the situation with the departures that I told you about, that this week is going to be full of so many departures. The first was the boy himself, Facundo Pellistri, who is now finalizing a deal to go and join Panathinaikos in Greece. Now, Scott McTOMINAY is the other player we do know that is wanted out, but at a fee, at a decent fee, at least by his own standards, as Man United is hoping for 30 million euros. Now, this is what is happening. Napoli, who were beaten in their opening game of the Italian Serie A, the first game for Antonio Conte, are certainly desperate for new signings. They haven't yet got the striker they want in Romelu Lukaku, but they also want a midfielder, the profile of Scott McTOMINAY, as indeed Antonio Conte feels these are the players who will make him more competitive as a team. Now, they are willing to go into talks with Man United. They seem to have a great personal terms with Scott, but the new thing is that Fulham, with whom Scott McTOMINAY had probably agreed personal terms with earlier, before even Napoli emerged as interested, are also now back in the race. And here is why: because they feel Man United will be now willing to reduce down on their 30 million euro valuation. Because remember, the last bid that Fulham had put in, that was bid number 2, was at about 20 million euros. Man United rejected it. Now they said we've closed the door on that move. Now the hope was it was never going to be back on. But after their first game of the season, probably the cameo by Scott McTOMINAY impressed Marco Silva. They went back, they made their research, and they probably now know that Man United are being cornered and desperate to cash in on Scott McTOMINAY and will be willing to lower down on their expectation in terms of how much they want for him. So, and also change a bit of their payment structure. Maybe they would accept. So that's why they are said to have returned and shown more interest. They are indeed expected to be putting together a third bid that they hope Man United will accept, so that they progress and sign him in the coming days. Remember, again, now these are panic days. These are panic days when it comes to the summer transfer window. We are approaching the panic week where teams want to seal all the deals they can as early as they can, because we are nearing the final weeks of the transfer window. So it's what's happening. So expect probably a sort of a bidding war for Scott McTOMINAY. And of course, it's a rare thing. It's difficult to imagine that there could have been ever in football a bidding war for a player that many feel is surplus requirements, but also a few feel that Scott McTOMINAY should be staying. I know so many people, even down in the comment section, who have been clear that they feel Scott should be staying, and all other players like Eriksen, like Lindelof, the likes of some people actually think Casemiro should leave before Scott McTOMINAY. But of course, it's so difficult to let go of Casemiro before you confirm you're getting Ugarte. But anyhow, so Scott is the player. We're expecting this deal to be expedited because all parties involved want to get it done. Man United want him out so that they get money to try and finance a move for a replacement. But also, Fulham and Napoli would also want, because they both lost their opening games of the season. Of course, one of them losing to who else? Yours truly, Joshua Zirkzee. Now, that's exactly what's going on when it comes to transfer. So expect more, of course, on this, but also this week we should expect, I think, a confirmation of what the status is with Manuel Ugarte, because we've been stuck for quite some time. I want to understand what clearly came out from that meeting with George Mendes. That's all expected this week. So it's going to be an intense week, I should say, and we expect certain things to at least get done. The departures to be done. Eriksen as well is silent, but things are ongoing behind the scenes. A lot is happening behind the scenes involving Manchester United. So the plan is to have an improved squad by the time, of course, we finish the window, so that at least there's now a full concentration on making it work, because at least the first game showed us that Man United is not so far off all the biggest clubs. Man City won their game against Chelsea. Of course, they were a better side, but I still say it, Man United is not Man United is not so far off. It's not so far off all these big clubs. I think they can still compete if they, of course, put their house together, get a number 6. If they are still going to play with a back 4, get a solid left back, they should be able to properly compete with the very best in the league. So beautiful progress going on with Man United right there. Dan Ashworth now has got an interesting KPI to clear out. Him and Omar Berada have got to clear out players one after the other. That's exactly what they're focused on, as they do, of course, go on and try to get things better, improve things, so that Ineos will feel like they have really made impact in their first summer. So that's exactly where we are. So expect some progress on that. Now there is also uh, some bit of, should I say, little progress when it comes to to Jadon Sancho. What we hear is that indeed PSG are so advanced in Jadon Sancho, and the only thing remaining with Sancho and Man United and PSG, I think, is the structure of the deal. They seem to be zeroing down on a loan move with an obligation to buy. It's just the structure that is being agreed on by the parties. But in terms of personal terms, Sancho is already game. He's good. He's okay. He wants to leave Man United. He feels he can, resurrect his career elsewhere with his head up, less pressure, less scrutiny. He wants to go where he's loved. So he accepted the personal terms that PSG offered. Now it's a matter of Man United and PSG agreeing on the structure. But for this to happen, Man United need to be able to afford to pay something for Manuel Ugarte. So it's a bit, the Sancho move is a bit, is a bit dependent on the Ugarte and of course the departures, the Scott McTominays and the likes, because of course those are what then will facilitate Man United's ability to get Ugarte. So of course it sounds tricky. It sounds like a tricky situation, but it's one they will get out of, because the determination, at least from all parties, is for Sancho to leave. Even him wants to leave. He himself wants to leave. So for Sancho, it's the structure happening. So I think when the time comes, when the time is right, it shouldn't be a complicated deal to sort. There were talks earlier that seemed to claim that Chelsea as well were in the race for Sancho. I think PSG are really advanced in it. Not done, but really advanced. And because Man United has is interested in certain players of PSG, it makes it even easier for PSG to get him ahead of Chelsea. Whereas Chelsea also have a long squad where Man United would probably tap into a few players. I don't think they have got a hot player that Man United would be desperate to sign. So that's a bit of what's going on. So PSG are still in the lead when it comes to Jadon Sancho, and soon this week that could be the other departure that might be confirmed. But when that happens, expect Manuel Ugarte probably to arrive the following day, because Sancho and Ugarte's deal, like I said, one really affects the other in a way. So it's a beautiful week. These are some of the things we should expect. Expect, of course, a lot, but it will all end with Man United playing an important game in the English Premier League, game number 2, where we expect again Manchester United to come out on top, as we do take on a very strong and hopefully beatable Brighton away from home. It's never an easy game. Well, you saw what they did in the opening game. Can never be an easy game for Man United. So it's going to be a busy and intense week. Turn on your notification if you haven't. I will be back to give you more of the news.